America, we gotta get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. By the way, everybody, as you're coming in, welcome. Really interesting, I think, important conversation tonight. Miles Bruner is with me, longtime Republican fundraiser and strategist who came out 2 weeks ago very publicly. Great article in the Bulwark. I'd encourage everybody to read it about why he left the Republican Party, why he left Trump's Republican Party. It's a great piece. And it's a really important, brave thing that Miles did. I encourage everybody, by the way, follow and subscribe to Miles on Substack as well. It's interesting, Miles. He comes down that escalator. He announces he's running. When that happened, your story and my story kind of like we were like I'm no longer in Congress. I'm a talk show radio guy. And all of my listeners fucking love him. But the Republican insiders I spoke to then gave me what you just gave me. Like they thought this was a joke and they didn't take him seriously.
Yeah, we never bothered to speak up or say anything because I remember like getting the advice from consultants and other staff like, don't say anything right now. Why bother with the headache? Just stay silent for now. This will pass, and we'll get back to electing probably Marco Rubio or George Bush or Jeb Bush. Sorry,
Jeb.
Yeah. So I will say, like the first point when sorry.
No, I was going to add that. So, would you say back then? And oh my God, Miles, because you were in that world then for a while. Like that thought, like among the Republican consultants and the fundraisers and whatever, they didn't take him seriously back then. Has that changed over the years among folks who work behind the scenes in the Republican Party?
I mean, as we got closer to the election in 2016, it became deadly serious. I think for me, the turning point actually was a lot sooner. The turning point for me was actually when he was, I forget the name of the event, but he was talking about, he did the famous John McCain's not a war hero. I don't like him. And when our staff and other consultants said, just be quiet for now. Just don't speak up. Then I kind of knew something was up. Something was amiss. I was like, if we can't say anything about him attacking a war hero. And this was an issue because my boss was a refugee from Vietnam.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. She had a really compelling story. Amazing. If anyone wants to look it up, Janet Wynn in Orange County. But yeah, this was perfect for her. This was a layup. This was a chance to show like she backed refugees in the community, that she backed our military and couldn't say anything. And after that incident, I became aware like this is going to be a problem. Like it became very serious to me very fast when that happened.
How'd you then? That's interesting then. Okay, so how do you then, and when it becomes serious to you and you get it, like, oh my God, this is real, and oh my God, he could get elected.
Yeah.
And you're living with that, but you're working. You have to work. How do you deal with that?
Oh, not easily.
No.
Even after that, I kind of knew. Like I had a feeling maybe he'll win the primary, and then maybe Hillary will. I was convinced Hillary would win. There's no way. Even after that, I had a feeling Hillary would win, and then we would kind of reset. So even after that moment, when I figured he might win the primary, I was still skeptical if he'd win the general. So that really didn't become a serious problem until after he was elected.
Yeah.
Because up until election night, I was convinced that this was going to be Hillary. Hillary was going to win. So
You talk about in the piece rightly how Trump is an authoritarian and he's changed our party into an authoritarian embracing cult, going after all the norms of democracy and the rule of law that we all believe in. And it's Trump and members of Congress who've gone along with him.
yeah,
But you mentioned, Miles, that it would never, none of this would have been possible without the aides and the staffs and the consultants and politicals all behind the
yeah,
scene pushing this shit out there. Are they, I mean, many members of Congress are true MAGA believers. Are
yeah.
there more true believers in the consultant class than I've been aware of?
That's really hard to say. A lot of them, I mean, they'll say anything if it means just getting the next contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
every now and then, it's well, let me kind of backtrack. When you talk to people like in an average work day, like you're really not divulging your personal like political beliefs. You're just
Yeah.
saying what the polls are telling you to say. Like you're making recommendations based off of what copy is working. So you're very rarely talking about your personal beliefs. Like if someone had judged me, my personal beliefs off of the copy I was written, you would have thought I had lost my mind, MAGA brainworms.
That's really interesting, Miles. And I think the average person doesn't realize that. A political consultant like you, you're producing fundraising copy and other copy.
Yeah.
Um, generally, most of you guys keep your political beliefs to yourselves.
Yeah. It's, you wouldn't know, like you walk into an office, at least our office, you wouldn't know. It would just look like a regular office in the suburbs of Virginia. Like we just have regular conversations about the most recent movie that
Yeah.
came out or show. You're not talking politics. Very rarely, every now and then, especially like with senior level, stuff would creep through. You would hear like after the abortion debate, after the abortion decision,
Yeah.
like someone would, a senior staff would go like, "No wonder we're not raising money. We keep doing this shit."
Yeah. Yeah.
So sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here, but
Hey, Miles, fuck yes, you are.
so all right, well there we go. So they would say, "Yeah, oh this shit again. I can't. No wonder we're not raising money," or that kind of thing. So it would be like the small stuff. You would kind of get a hint at someone thinking like, this is fucked.
But you privately, from like like in the never Trumper world, there are like never Trumpers who were never Trumpers from the jump,
Yeah,
right out of the gate. There were never Trumpers like me who turned on him I finally left him in 2018. And there were never Trumpers who left him after January 6th, whatever.
yeah.
You, and correct me if I'm wrong, Miles, you knew in that first 2016 campaign that you were not a fan of this guy.
No.
I don't know if you called yourself privately a never Trump or whatever, but
Yeah,
you were clearly in that camp. And yet for a long time, you kept doing what you were doing, working
yeah.
in the Republican fundraising. What, what kept you in for so
Oh,
long?
there was a myriad of stuff. Like you make excuses at every level to keep your
Mhm.
job. Like for me, in the early stages, it was I was a broke kid in
Yeah.
my mid 20s. I had
Yeah.
student loans I had to pay off. And
Yeah.
so you didn't want to kind of rock the boat or anything like that. And then I did have a chance to leave in 2018 after the blue wave. Everyone like lost their
Yeah.
elections, and
Yeah.
so I tried to get out then, and you have the job hunt. And after a few months, you kind of get desperate looking for a job, and only place you're able to find was the Republican Party.
You tried to as a Republican political fundraiser strategist consultant, you tried
Yeah,
to get out of that and find something else political or to get out of politics altogether?
get out of it altogether. I tried to kind of make the jump. I talked to a couple of Democratic friends. That was difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to get out altogether, but, like, the only people that came knocking after a while, I slunk back. They were the
Yeah.
only people that hired, and it's like, I was literally down to my last I was about to start driving Ubers.
Yeah.
So,
So
they're the ones.
you got back in and you stayed in for a little bit.
Yep.
And then walk us through then what began kind of the process of you saying, fuck it, I am done with this.
Yeah. That was a long road.
And by the way,
'Cause
Miles, I'm going to interrupt you
Yeah.
only because I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
make this point because I don't want to interrupt you. Um, Everybody listening to us, this is so damn important. I Miles and I are like brothers on this. We've been down the same kind of a road. Republicans, Republican elected officials, Republican fundraisers, Republican whatevers who have the courage to publicly come out and leave that side. It's a big fucking deal. And we need to help put spotlights on these stories to help encourage others to as well. Miles,
Yeah.
continue. A long road. So you get back into
Yeah.
it, you stay into it, and it's still a long road.
Yeah, I stay in it, and it's weird. You would think January 6th would be this moment to leave.
Ah!
Like, it's like the point of no return. Like, "Oh my god, yeah, like, it can't get worse than this." And the weird thing is it kind of had the opposite effect. Be
Interesting.
because, like, he left in exile. Like, you kind
Yeah.
of assumed, like, it's over. Like,
Done.
maybe the fever's gonna break. He's going back to Mar-a-Lago. We're done. We're gonna move on, and rebuild. So, you kind of have that in the back of your mind. You're telling yourself, "Okay, this is over. I can stay. Like, I don't have to worry about this anymore." So that's one of the ways one of the excuses, that
Yeah.
helped me get through. And it was like that for a good while, even through 2022. Because
Mhm.
remember, like, he lost badly in the 2022 midterms. And so,
Yeah.
again, you thought, like, well, he tried to come back and he clearly is not a factor. So awesome. I still don't like the direction of the Republican Party, but at least he's not a part of it, and I can tell myself that when I go to sleep at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
At this time, Miles, at this time, post January 6th, and then into 2020 and then 2022,
yeah.
the folks you're working with, have you noticed any difference, say, from 2016 to 2022? The fundraisers, the staffers, the consultants, are they still more kind of like you, generally Republican, not in love with Trump, or do you
Yeah.
see more true believing Trumpers getting into the field you were in? And I only ask that, Miles, because
Yeah.
as a former member, I saw more and more members becoming true believers over the year, more
Yeah.
MAGA.
I would say the younger ones, who
Okay,
were coming in, because the younger ones, this is all they had known.
great
Um,
point. Yeah,
they had only come of age in the era of Trump, and this is
yeah,
actually kind of why I wrote why I wasn't surprised by the neo-Nazi texting scandal.
yeah, yeah,
Because, like, this is all these young kids, even in the early 30s. They were
yeah.
probably 22 when Trump came on the scene. So,
Hmm.
the young ones are definitely more, geared more MAGA. The ones I think who are still, at least at the professional level, not necessarily MAGA, but they'll say anything to, again, get a paycheck. Um, they came above age in, like, early Bush,
Yeah,
first
yeah,
Bush, Reagan, maybe. So I think they're still, again, if Trump disappeared tomorrow, they'd be fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
So then, okay, so then 2022 comes along, you're still in it.
yeah.
Then what happens? What begins again? You're getting out of
Um,
it.
It was honestly, it had nothing to do with Trump. It was the Dobbs decision.
Ah,
Yeah, the Dobbs decision was a big factor. Not necessarily in the moment, because abortion was not something I really thought about a lot.
yeah,
I had been very
yeah,
pro-life when I was, like, a young kid,
yeah,
and then I had, like, matured and, like, become pro-choice as I got older. But it's still, despite that, wasn't something I voted on. And the when it really hit home was, my wife and I had a miscarriage. And so then you kind of learn, and this is something where people point out, you're only become aware of something when it impacts you. And I'm very well
Yep.
aware of that.
Yep.
It's a privilege.
Yeah.
Like I was privileged to be able to ignore this when I was
Hmm.
younger. Um, but yeah, like all of a sudden I realized that people across the country, if we were in a different geographical area, if it had been
Yeah.
a few weeks later, like we could have been seriously impacted. And it opened my eyes. I couldn't fathom, like, one, going through the pain of a miscarriage is horrible. And then having to then go through that, not having any support from the medical system or the medical establishment. That's something that really got my attention. And then, yeah, then the Alabama Supreme Court decision,
Yeah.
that all really like was one of the major factors for me. Which is weird. Like, despite all this stuff talking about Trump, it was
Yeah.
that one. It was that
That's really
really
interesting.
that was one of the biggest catalysts for me.
That's really interesting that one of the biggest catalysts near the end was something that had nothing to do with Trump, the Dobbs
Yeah.
decision.
Sorry.
No, no, that's all right, Miles. All
Sorry.
good. What then from Dobbs, so Dobbs happens, Alabama Supreme Court, then how did you then eventually then just get out? What'd you do?
Yeah. Excuse me, just a sec. I have to charge my phone.
Miles,
Yeah.
this
I
is what the
know.
beauty of
It's so
Substack, man, on our phones. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is what you get, live entertainment. Give
All
me
good.
just a
Find that charger, man. You
qu
gotta keep your
quick
phone going.
second. Um,
Take your time. And everybody else who's watching and listening, thank you so much for being with you. Miles is going to get a charger for his phone. I'm talking to Miles Bruner, longtime Republican fundraiser and strategist, who, in a piece in the Bulwark 2 weeks ago, came out as he left the party, he left Trump, he left the Republican Party. He could no longer, in good conscience, be part of that. And he very courageously told his story publicly. And the story moved me. And I think stories like this are so important. And Miles, you hit me when you're back there. But because this is not the norm.
yeah,
Joe Walsh publicly coming out against Trump 7 years ago, not the norm. Miles Bruner coming out against Trump, not the norm. And so that's why we've got to talk about these, highlight these, and learn from them. Dobbs happens.
yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. You got 1 foot out the door. What got you out the door? How'd you walk out the door?
It was s it was seeing, over the summer, in late summer, people in ICE agents, masked, National Guard
Yeah.
in our streets. Like, that was
Yep.
something I just couldn't take it anymore. Um, like, it had become very real, and I
Mhm.
feel we had come to a very dark place, and I just said, "No more." It was like it was the last needle, on the camel's back. I just couldn't take it anymore, and so, I reached out, I came up to and I didn't wanna just slink away.
Good.
I felt I had been there for so long.
Why? Let me stop you, Miles. I love what you said there. So you make your decision this past summer. I'm out, but I'm not just going to slink away. Tell me what you mean by
Mhm.
that and why. I find that really interesting.
Because I felt I had a kind of a unique story to tell.
Hmm.
Like, and one, it was a story that wasn't being told this time around.
Yeah.
Like, in the first Trump administration, you had seen so many people leave the party,
Yeah.
and say why they were leaving the party. This time around, it didn't seem to be happening a whole lot.
Right.
And then also, you really didn't have the perspective. Like, there were a lot of stuff written by people who had left, who had been at the upper echelons of campaigns. Like, they had been media presence, and they had written great pieces about what they left in their background. But you really didn't see um, it from the lower level. You didn't see it from, like, the low level functionaries who were just
Yes.
district directors or
Yeah.
district reps. And so I felt that was a kind of a story that needed to be
Mhm.
told. And I'm very much a believer in oral histories, and
Yeah.
I wanted people to be informed, and not necessarily to rationalize or justify, because I don't think I could ever justify staying as long as I did. But I wanted it to almost exist like as a historic document. So people could
That
see, like, okay, this is what it was like at the lower level.
Miles, that's really important. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. When we think of people publicly, Republicans publicly coming out and leaving,
Hmm.
you're right. We think of members of Congress or candidates or upper tier chiefs of
Yeah.
staff, or we don't think of mid tier, lower tier folks who've been putting in the hard work in the Republican vineyard for years.
Yeah.
We don't hear those stories.
Yeah, and it was something I had been inspired by. I had read long ago for, and this is like stuck in the back of my mind. I had read Hannah Arendt,
Mhm.
and she
Mhm.
had spoken about just like the banality of evil,
Yes.
and like authoritarian regimes thrive on the collective actions of just everyday workaday people, going about their jobs, getting a paycheck, and living their normal lives. And so I felt there was a story there, and so I wrote it not because I thought I was important. I wasn't. I was just a cog in the machine,
Yeah.
and so that encouraged me, spurred me on to write that.
And the other and again, everybody, a couple weeks ago in the Bulwark, you can check out Miles's piece. It's a really good piece. Um, uh, but you make another really good point, Miles. In this second Trump term, because he's surrounded himself with more true believers, there aren't
Yeah.
people leaving. There aren't people leaving,
No.
unlike the first term. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
have what kind of reaction have you gotten from folks? What kind of reaction, Miles, start here, have you gotten from other folks still in your old world of Republican consultancy and fundraising and all of that?
To be honest, I haven't talked to them much since it dropped. There have been a couple people. Well, there have been a couple people who reached out, and I want to say this. I've worked with people who were great to me personally, and they were,
Yeah,
like, really nice and great people to work with, super collaborative. I respected them on a personal, professional level. Anyone would be lucky to work with these people, and that's one of the
yeah,
reasons that also I stayed so long, was because, like, they gave me the flexibility to work hours I needed to, for my family.
yeah,
I was paid a decent wage, all that kind of stuff. We had events. Um, and so I respected them to the utmost. And a couple of them did reach out afterwards and said, like, "We really feel sorry that you felt this way for so long. Good luck on what you're doing." So people I had personally worked with at the company, were great to me.
yeah.
And I before the piece dropped, I even told went to a couple of people I worked with, my boss, and
Mhm.
told them, like, "Hey, this is coming tomorrow. I want you to be aware of it." Um, and I made sure, like, I put my 2-week notice, and did everything to make sure they had a good transition. So yeah, that side, they were all really good. The online reaction was pretty mixed.
Describe that for me.
Well, I take that back. For the most part, the online reaction was very supportive and appreciative. And not if you necessarily go on Reddit or X. Those are
Yeah,
wastelands
yeah,
and
yeah,
should be avoided at all costs. But for the most part, people were very supportive, of me and the decision. I greatly appreciated it, especially in those first couple days. Because, like I
yeah.
said at the very beginning of this, my wife and I were not public people.
No.
Like, we just are uh, average 9 to 5 workaday people. So to have that all that attention all at once was overwhelming. And so yeah, having all that support come out really meant a lot.
What does your wife think about what you've done?
She was incredibly supportive, of me, because I told a very personal story.
Yeah. Yeah, you
I had
did.
talked about our, a miscarriage,
Mhm.
and so she was very supportive of me every step of the way, and I greatly appreciate, everything she did, to get us here. She was at me every step of the way. She looked at it, she proofed it, so she was very much a partner, in getting this done.
Um, Miles, when you look back now on the last 10 years, and I'm asking you a question that I ask myself every day, do you think any regrets? Any regrets? Do you wish you'd left earlier? Do you wish you'd spoken out earlier? Do you wish this or
Yeah.
that? When I look back, like I wish that I know why I supported Trump in 16, but
Mhm.
I was uneasy and I wish I hadn't. I
Yeah.
wish I had been never Trump right out of the gate. Um, no regrets, but I think about things like that, as difficult as it is. As you look back, do you go through any shit like this?
Yeah, in the early days, like, there were like, days I wish I had been more vocal. I wish I had been more
Mhm.
sure of myself and my knowledge, as a political, advisor, and I also kinda wish I had been more creative, like, looking for a job out I mean, back in 2018, when I was looking. It's like, could I have looked harder? Could I have looked somewhere else? Was this really the only option for me? So that kinda stuff does keep me up, and then, yeah, just the fact that I stayed so long post January 6th, that weighs on me, and I
But you
like
know what? Let me cut you off because you made a really cool fucking point. Like you're right. January 6th,
yeah,
Trump should have been sent to Siberia, and nobody should have supported
yeah,
him. But you do raise an interesting point. If you're a Republican worker,
mhm,
like you were,
yeah,
and January 6th happens, as much as you detested January 6th, you assumed, well, that's the fucking end of him anyways.
yeah,
He's gonna be gone. We'll get back to the Mitt Romney Republican Party, whatever. That
mhm.
I can see where that made some sense to you.
Yeah, it was also yeah, one of the ways I rationalized it, and, like, the entire consulting class kinda rationalized it that way. It
Yes.
was like, "We're gonna lay low. We're gonna kinda
Yes.
see where this goes." And I should have known then that they weren't really gonna take an active role
Yes.
in, uh, exiling him. Like, they were just like they did in 2016, they were just gonna kinda play it passive and see where the grassroots took them. And so looking back, I should have known then that we were doing the same shit we were doing back in 2016. Um,
Yeah.
so, maybe I
Yeah.
regret not seeing that, but yeah.
No, it's Miles, again, it's so analogous. If I had $1 for every time a former Republican member told me, "Joe, don't worry, Trump is like it's like a tsunami, but it's gonna pass. It's gonna be over in a few months, a few
Mhm.
years." Every year or 2, they'd tell me that, and they just said, "I'm just gonna lay low till the storm passes."
Yeah. And that's why, like, seeing the armed soldiers and
Yeah.
masked agents in our streets, it was there we're at the end game. Like, there is no going back. There is no this is gonna pass anymore. And so the ability to compartmentalize and just put it aside to get your paycheck, it's impossible anymore. Um, so again,
That's
that's
again, that's a cool way to put it. Like, you reach a point where there's no going back, so you can no longer just take a paycheck.
yeah.
Like, I could no longer sleep at night if I kept supporting him. But you're right, you reach a point where there's no looking back.
No, yeah, it's like if I know, like in the future, I'm not going to be able to look my kid in the eye and like say with any moral clarity, like I did the right thing at the right moment. And so
Well,
it's
but
like
now wait a minute. You can look your kid in the eye and say that now.
now I can.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. But in that moment when we were
Yeah.
seeing this take place, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to tell her. I don't know how I'm going to say like why I stayed, and it's like all I can say is like, well, I got it for a paycheck to go to a college that's probably now controlled by the government because I people like me didn't say anything. So
Yeah. Um, do you see from your perspective, and you're younger than I am, I'm older. I don't see my former party changing in my lifetime. What's your prognosis as you look out in the future?
no, I think it's going to get much worse. And like I said, look at the civil war that's going on. I don't know if it's really much of a civil war other than people at the top kind of having a reckoning with what they've created.
Yeah.
Because what's coming is the next generation, and it's going to be far worse than anything that exists now. Because now you have these gripers, people who grew up on Pepe the Frog. Like it's going to be a long. They're not going to be able to weed them out like the Birchers
I I
back in the
I
day.
I want people to understand what you're saying. This is important. A lot of people think when Trump's gone, it's gone. That's
Yeah,
bullshit. And uh, again, we cannot fail to have the imagination to believe that there's a chance Trump may try to run again. Whatever. Again,
yeah,
we need to imagine the worst and prepare for it. But
yeah.
assuming he's gone, Trumpism, MAGA, whatever it is, it's metastasized beyond him. And you make a great point that my listeners need to hear. It's really infiltrated young Republicans, especially young men.
Yeah, like, it's just something I noticed going back to 2018, working on the campaign, like, working with volunteers, asking them, like, "What do you wanna do in the campaign? Do you wanna organize, like, volunteers? Do you want to do this?" Door knocking, phones, all that, and a couple of kids, "Oh, I'm really great with these memes," and he would
Oh,
give
yeah,
me these Pepe the Frog memes, and all the other college kids at the table would be, "Oh, that's so great. Yeah, that's," and be pitching him ideas. I should have that was looking back, that's another thing, I should have really said something more. Instead, I just kinda redirected, and I was like, "Well, we have this." I should have just
yeah.
I was like, "Cut that shit out." Like, "No, stop." But it
But
had
but
been some
but but people need to know, Miles. Look, if you would have done shit like that, you again, you risk your livelihood. Your job, your paycheck, all of that. It
yeah.
again, we're talking about real lives when you publicly begin to speak out.
Yeah, but I think again, this is going back to the regrets, like, could I have said something to those kids in that moment that was a little more pointed?
Yeah,
I probably could have, but again, like, I needed interns, and I just instead of just, like, admonishing them, I was like, "Oh, you can do this."
yeah, yeah,
So I wish
yeah.
I'd been more of a at least had the moral leadership in the moment, but again, that's hindsight's 2020. You didn't know it would grow into something that it's grown into.
Well, and maybe it doesn't matter to you if what you identify as. You know my story. I bizarro story. Officially became a Democrat 4 months ago. Or do you?
Mhm.
What do you identify as anything right now, or what are you?
I fully identify as well, I'll be honest, I haven't voted Republican in 10 years.
Yeah, yeah,
So but publicly, I fully vote Democrat. I don't think there's any room right now to vote third party or like there is one party that like is semi sane. That is, oh, not semi, they're
yeah.
sane.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, you saw
Yeah,
Abigail Spanberger elected yesterday. It's sane. So yeah, I don't think there's any talk for third party or any other like I'm fully with inside the elect Democrats. Like we need to back a big tent Democratic Party.
Yeah, and I think as long as you believe that the Republican Party is a real threat to democracy and the rule of law, we have to take that position.
Yeah, definitely. Um,
Yeah, I think there's no doubt. Are you? What do you see yourself doing now, moving forward?
yeah, that's kind of
Are
the
you
big
looking for a
question.
job? What are you doing, Miles?
I am, yeah. I'm sitting on the couch eating bonbons while my
Yes.
wife brings, while my wife brings home the bacon. No, I'm currently looking at the moment.
Okay,
So the goal is to kind of do something similar to what I had been doing, fundraising, grassroots management background, that kind of stuff. So anything I can do to kind of get back into the fight and help reverse some of the damage. Honestly, I feel
that's
it's a
nice.
moral. I feel that I have a moral obligation to. Give back and do what I can to help elect pro democracy candidates.
By the way, everybody, I should see a bunch of big freaking red hearts. Did you hear what Miles just said there? He feels he has an obligation to help fix what he helped break. Miles, I say that publicly every
Yeah.
fucking day. I helped to create MAGA, so I try to
Hmm.
save folks from MAGA every day. And
Yeah.
it's just something I feel like I have to do. You feel the same kind of thing. I think that's really important, and I think that's really good, and that should be applauded.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something that's kind of been my guiding force, like my guiding light ever since I left. It's like where I've been looking. And so it's something where I hope to land. And I tell people like, you will never find someone more passionate about defeating the Republicans than people who had been spurned by the Republican Party, who have
Oh,
been left
Miles,
behind.
yeah.
So
Listen to you're so right, everybody. Listen to what Miles just said. Amen, brother. You guys like you and I and so many of the others, we are the best.
mhm,
We are really the best voices against what he is and what it is. And we have an obligation then to use our voices. And at
yeah,
whatever level, you and I may be different profiles, but at whatever level, I imagine
yeah.
you're going to be outspoken no matter what this next time around.
Definitely, yeah, and I'm more than happy, again, going back to what I was doing, and because I know that's where my strengths lie. I know I'm a behind the scenes, get it done organizing guy, so, wherever I can do, there, I'm more than happy to do it.
Hey, Miles, I really appreciate you, man. And I really appreciate you taking some time and telling everybody your story. Everybody, do two things for me. Follow and subscribe to Miles right here on Substack. Are you fairly active on Substack? What are you doing, young man? Are you putting shit
I
out there?
I'm just starting to.
Come on.
It's a new field for me. I've been dipping my toes. I've done a couple
Good,
articles since the
good.
post, so I'm
Dip.
kind of getting my Substack sea legs.
Cool. Get your
So
Substack sea legs. Everybody help Miles Bruner get his Substack sea legs. And then everybody else, do me a favor. If you have a moment this weekend, go back to the Bulwark and check out Miles Bruner's piece in the Bulwark online. He tells his story. It's a fascinating piece and a fascinating story. Miles, let's make sure you and I stay in touch. Will you do that for me?
definitely, definitely.
Cool, man. Miles, thanks for joining. Everybody else, thank you for listening. Spread the word and be brave. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Miles.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.